anyone who has touched that, even for a short period of time, can never be ever dissatisfied. There's supreme satisfaction. And that the Vedas have described as Satchidananda. Now Satchidananda is a three-syllable word. Sat, Chit and Ananda. We're not looking at how to go there, that's tomorrow's discussion. We're looking at things, facts. Now, if Satchidananda is made of Sat, Chit and Ananda, what does the first syllable Sat mean? The truth? Yeah, we usually say the truth. But Sat means much more than the simple word truth. It means that which is real, as opposed to what we think is real. We think something is real, but if you, on close examination, it turns out to be not so real. And if there is something that, however close you examine, still remains real, now that is Sat. And the good news is that our inner essence is Sat, the reality. How? This world that we live in, the world that we see, is based on the impressions that we receive through our sense organs. Yeah. Do I really see Jennifer? No. I see the image presented to my mind, or my brain, if you want to call it, that comes through my five senses of sight, hearing, taste, touch. Anything else that I missed? Smell. If you sprayed a good perfume, like, I know this is Jennifer. So, I'm just using you, sorry. So, I'm just using your name as a guinea pig for the experimental purpose. So, this is how I interpret this word. In the Sanskrit text, it's called nama, the name. And when the nama is there, you associate it with the form, which is rupa. Nama, rupa. This is the world we live in. Nama and rupa. Which is quite normal. But what I'm trying to say is that the impressions received through our five senses, we are discussing Sat now, reality, could be quite illusion, could be not as real as we think they are. I'll give you an example. Every morning, we see the sun rise, right? Every evening, we see the sun set. Except in Finland, I didn't see it set at all. Anyway, generally, you see the sunrise and you see the sunset. Now, even a young student in the high school will tell you that the sun neither rises nor sets. It's the world that moves, the earth that moves. But what do you see with your eyes? The sun is rising, and so how much can we trust the sense organs that we have? The instruments of perception that we have are very limited. We really cannot trust them. And what we call a rational mind, which hopes to understand the world and understand oneself, is based on the data provided by these five senses, which are by themselves imperfect. If I had more time, we could have sat down and analyzed something, like a solid piece of wood, and figure out that it's still only the impressions of our senses, but we really don't know how it exists. It exists, of course. But what we think it exists as, one S, is that sometimes we believe things so much that we behave like asses. So what I mean to say is that the so-called rational design and the rational blueprint with which we live, saying that I'm a perfectly rational human being and so on, is based entirely on the impressions received through our five senses of perception. They're called the Pancha Indriyas in yogic terms. And these are often not accurate, or in some cases even unreal. So how much perfect can our image of an object be which is based on such imperfect perceptions? Because the brain has no other way to work out a definition except based on the impressions received. And the impression, the data received is imperfect, your image must also be imperfect. It cannot be perfect. Although we'd like to think it's perfect, because all of us generally have the same kind of instruments of perception, therefore we look at everything in the same way. It may not be so, may not be so. I'm not saying it is not so, I'm saying may not be so. Okay, I'm looking at you. I have a pair of eyes with which I was born, which have convex lenses on. Right? My eyes have a retina and they have what is the optics we have? Convex lens. All of us have roughly the same. So I see you as in a certain form, in a certain shape, and I believe this is the shape. I think this is my reality, Sat. Imagine a creature like a housefly, common housefly. It's born with a different set of eyes, a different apparatus. It's called the compound eye. Little eyes put together. How will it see you? May not be the same as I see you. So if I say that what I am seeing is right and the housefly says what I am seeing is right, who is right? Nobody is right and everybody is right. Because it's based on our impression. So we have no way to define this earth we live in and also ourselves in absolute terms. We can only say relatively. According to me, this is real. Cannot be other than that. Suppose I was born with compound eyes, suppose. Born. How would I see you? She's smiling, I would see 5 faces smiling. So I would see one person like Ravan, 10 heads. Hopefully, I don't know, I have not got into the fly and looked. If I do that, I'll know the perspective of the fly, how we look. Or the elephant for that matter. So what I'm trying to say is the world that is presented to us as real is actually relative, based on our instruments of perception. So the question asked here is, ultimately, what is the reality?